Please, I need someone to confirm if you can see my screen.
Not yet on my end. Okay, it's visible now.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, this is AI and automation. I believe this is not the first time uh, we've been hearing the term automation. And today we'll be looking at the concept behind that subject. Today is fully explaining the concept, and if you can get it very clearly in this session, I promise you subsequent question will not be a challenge. One of the things I want you to know is that AI, by introduction, is new, but by existence is not new. AI has been around since the 50s, and for some of us that attended or that did a computer related subject in our primary school, or maybe even junior secondary school and all, when we were taught generations of computer, we understand that there is a fifth generation of computer where it was predicted that that generation will be an automated generation. So AI has been in vogue, but we having access to it is the only thing that makes it new. But whether AI has been existent as a new thing, the answer to that is no. AI has been around since 1950s, but it was only as available to high level programmers, and they are the one making use of it. In fact, if you trace back to some of the devices we have in those days, um, um, the likes of smartphones, especially the Symbians, the Sony Harrison, and all, they have this feature that we don't pay attention to. Please, I want to say it again. The moment you stop hearing me, just signify and let me adjust my system here. Probably it could be from my hand. Okay, there is this feature on the music part, and that feature has to do with what's it called now? Recent played, most played. Can anyone relate with what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
All right, so that is a function of intelligence. But then, because it was not a system that is open to everyone, so our attention didn't really go to that part. But thank God, it has become open to every one of us now, and I believe this is the reason for this class. And as such, AI has come to stay. Nothing can remove AI from this generation. Rather, it will continue to grow more sophisticated. And from the scenario of the generations of computer I gave you, you will discover one of the key elements of those changes across those generations is speed and efficiency. From the first generation to the second generation to the third generation to the fifth generation and all. If you check the trend along those generations, one of the things that is common to them, or that is mostly improved, or that is the core improvement that differentiates one generation from another, is just two things, which is speed and efficiency. Before now, tasks are usually done with maximum human input or effort. But with the advent of artificial intelligence, now I like to say this: artificial intelligence is actually not intelligent enough until you are intelligent. So if you want to see the intelligence of an AI, you have to be intelligent in your communication with it. So the system itself is only intelligent when you intelligently interact with it. If you visit offices, businesses, um, firms, schools, hospitals, churches, and all, and if you check their mode of operation, you will discover it requires majorly human input, to the point that there is um, a lot of time that are wasted. And with the advent of artificial intelligence, what that uh, technology does is to remove totally, mark that word, to eliminate the high consumption of time and human input. So the goal now is to bring AI into the picture of human daily life and allowing them to carry out this assignment that we would usually do manually. And this is the future of work right now. In fact, the numbers shows us that within the next 10 years, the job opportunity that has ever existed, that has ever existed, will be around this subject of automation, where the time spent on manual work is reduced, but I like to use the word eliminated. That's why the automation part of it. So that activity that you will usually do in a particular pattern over and over and over and over again, you are now introducing a machine to assist you with that tirelessly without your input. So let me paint it like this. Assuming you wake up one morning and maybe you work with a marketing company or something, or an agency, and then the maybe you are the owner or the manager, or let's assume you are the owner of that business, and maybe you have your desk. Every morning you come to work, and before you even settle down, your phone began to vibrate with different messages coming in from different clients. And so, or maybe your website is overheating, messages requests has been coming in overnight, and there you are in the office. You don't even know which one to do, you don't know which of them to attend to. Or maybe you even have um, emails, messages that you have to respond to. And you can imagine how overwhelming all of these tasks can be. But then, these tasks can be done using a system that we refer to as automation. Automation simply means a series of tasks that are performed in a particular pattern over and over again. So please, can you mute yourself? All right, thank you. Please, when you join in, please try as much as possible to mute yourself. So the change is happening right now. Businesses are restructuring their mode of operation. And let me also say this. I was talking to a friend of mine this evening, and we were just having an argument. And the argument was, can AI replace people? And I told her the truth is AI cannot, mark that word, cannot replace anybody. No matter how sophisticated that AI is, there is always an input of man. There is something man has to do to trigger or to partake in that workflow. For instance, if you go to maybe one of the modern restaurant, and you get to, maybe after you've placed your order, and you were supposed to wash your hand under a tap, and then you see the tap doesn't have where you can turn it on or turn it off, but then it uses uh, um, a connection. It tries to read when your hand is placed under the tap mouth now. So the moment that is done, the water start coming out. So you see, that water can only come out when your hand is under the tap. That is the role of man or of the user in that workflow. That's actually a workflow. That is actually a workflow. For instance, maybe you are driving or you are in an automated vehicle, an intelligently uh, designed vehicle that doesn't have or that doesn't allow you to open the door. But then the door can open when you approach the door. Or some intelligent house, when you walk closer to the door tends to open. So you can see that there is a part that man has to play in that workflow for it to be completed. So the door will remain shut until someone moves closer to the door. So these are automation that has been around us, and it's not going to change. It's not going to change. And it is no longer a fantasy. It is happening right now. Right now. The shift is happening. And the earlier we enter into this system, the better for us. Now, we are going to be covering three things in this particular class. I think uh, I've spoken about the first one, but maybe I can still try to elaborate more. The future of work. And then when we are done with that, we will look at understanding automation, and then we introduce us to uh, the the tools we are going to be using which is the n8n, the future of work. The future of work. If you look at the numbers, for instance, we said that initially job are done manually. There is physical labor, physical effort, tasks repeating themselves over and again. You can imagine maybe in a school setting during the admission process, uh, each student will line up on a queue, or maybe even in an ATM, on an ATM machine. You see that long queue, and each of those people standing on that queue walk towards the machine, and they all perform the same thing. They all slot in their card, they all made transfer, they all entered a specific amount. You discover all of those things are repeating themselves for each of those people on the queue. But with the advent of automation, we can see that things can be made a lot easier. You can easily read your document, write your document, perform reasonings, summarize, analyze, decide, and undo certain things that feels overwhelming most of the time. I don't know how true is it, but these are things that are obtainable in the Nigerian system. Uh, they did immigration recruitment last year. I think they also wrote the exam. I think the exam was last year also. So there was a short list for those that will be going for the medical screening and all. So I met someone we were just discussing, and who he had somebody in the system, and they said, ah, a lot of people are complaining that they didn't see their name, they didn't see their name, and they didn't see their, and the guy has to tell my friend that those people they shortlisted are those set of people who first wrote the exam. So in other words, those people who wrote from the second, third, fourth, fifth day, I think that exam was written for about 5 days or so. So those who wrote from the second day to the fifth day, their data was never looked into because the task was overwhelming. If it was an automated task now, there will be no need for human to feel overwhelmed. It's all about setting up the system and telling the system what to do, and the system function adequately, just like human would do it, or maybe even better than how woman would do it. So the numbers is telling us that as AI is coming into play, many jobs are being affected. About 300 million jobs are affected right now. 85 million jobs are being displayed. But you will also discover that new role are emerging. This is why this class is so important. And those roles will be an AI automated, tailored role. And the projected economic growth before 2030, you can see is about 15.7 trillion. So there is no disadvantage in this subject. It's all about embracing the change and making yourself useful in the field, and making yourself useful in the field. So AI automation is one of the peak acts of this era. So you don't even have to build it. It has been built. All you need to do is to learn how to use it to assist your business. how to blend it into your business operation. And this is what uh, this whole class is subject upon. Now, when we talk about the revolution of AI, there are three layers to that concept. Now, in a typical AI automation, there are three layers that you must put into consideration. We have the model layer. Now, when you hear about, um, please mute yourself. Okay. Please, is anyone understanding what I've been saying?
Yes, I'm following.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I was saying there are three layers to this revolution of AI. Number one is the model. And when you hear about model in the context of AI generally, what we are referring to your LMMs, your LLM, the language models, the likes of ChatGPT, the likes of Claude, Gemini, and all those language models that you know. And you understand that this model has already been built. You are not the one that is going to build this model. They have been built already. So all you need to do is to learn how to take advantage of this system, introducing them into either your business, your personal uh, task that you do, your routine tasks that you carried out on a daily basis, or you want to dabble into freelance, or you want to assist business, you want to work in tech companies. So you must understand that the first layer of this revolution of AI is the large language models. Of course, which I said you don't even have to build this. You are not building this. This has been done for you. Now, the second uh, layer to that is the platform. The platform. Now, this platform talks about API tools, talks about interfaces that let uh, you to access these models or other external services. Now, if you want to utilize uh, these models in your workflow, you are going to be utilizing the services that these models provides through the use of what is called API, the application package interface. Now, this API is actually an advanced concept. I will try as much as possible to just touch a bit part of it. Okay. Let me step down a little bit. APIs. For instance, let me cite this example. Um, um, let's use Google as an example. Yes, I think Google can work. Now, if you discover Google has some services that you can access. For instance, if you go to your Gmail now, and there are other apps that Google uh, make available for you to use. For instance, the likes of this one we are using now, Google Meet, uh, Slide, Drive, what again? Um, Word, and all those packages. Those are services. Those are services that Gmail or Google made available for you on that platform. So if you want to interact with those platforms from a third party system, you will be doing that through what we refer to as API. Okay, let me not overwhelm more with that. The third layer is the application layer, and this is where you belong. This is the category that you belong. That is where your actual workflow, your automation, and products are built based on the models that we've mentioned above. So see this application, I said application, this platform as the middleman that allow you to interact on the application with the model. I don't know if that makes sense. Please confirm if that makes sense to you.
Yes, sir. It makes sense.
Okay. So see the platform as the middleman that allows you to enjoy those services that your model provides on your application. Remember, on your application, this is where you exist. This is where you exist. You don't exist on the model. The model has been created, they've been done amazing. You can imagine what ChatGPT can do within seconds. You can imagine what Claude can do within seconds. Now, you want to utilize those services on your application or your workflow. Remember, your application is talking about your automation that you build, your workflow and all. But then you want to utilize some services from your model. You do that with your platform, which is your API. Okay, so among these three layers, you only existed in one of them, and that is the application. That is where you build your workflow. You understand your business process, you know how your tasks are carried out, what happened, what happened after that, what happened again after that, what transpires between them. That is the application layer. That's where you exist. And that's the reason for this class. So, um, okay, I think I've mentioned that one. That's where you exist. Now, why AI automation is a high income skills? I think I've explained that. I will just jump that uh, and go forward. Okay, I think I've also given some use cases also where you can, some of the place that AI automation can assist you. I think I've also talked about this place. Uh, Global opportunity. I think I've also spoken on this one. Okay, please, if you understand the all I've explained so far, please can I confirm with a yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any question so far?
It's all good from my end, sir.
Okay. Let me see how many of us are on this call. Okay. Sophia say no question. All right. We are going to be looking at understanding automation, the uh, what's it called now? The mental model of automation. The mental model. Please, I will be asking question at the end of this class. Please make sure you listen attentively. Now, we'll be looking at understanding automation. I mean, the mental model that you must first have before you start building your automation. What makes a machine works for you? and why mental model matter most. Why mental model matter most. Now let me give you um, maybe like an illustration here. Imagine that you have a very reliable assistant, maybe an office assistant or maybe a patient assistant. And let's say you, whenever you give that your assistant, let's assume he or she is very intelligent, very, very intelligent. And let's say when you give it or give him or give her an instruction, precise instruction to carry out certain tasks for you, and that assistant just quickly within minutes carry perform those assignments without getting tired and not even forgetting any of those instructions. Even after 2, 3, 4, 5 days, did not even forget where it left off with previous tasks. You know, just imagine that scenario. Does not complain that, boss, I'm tired, oh, or boss, increase my pay, oh. He just does the assignment given to it without complaint, like woman would do. You don't even need to think twice, or your mind is not at rest. Can this person perform this task for me the way I want it? Because this is an intelligent task. So this is the idea of how automation work. It doesn't get tired. In fact, automation there is just like making something, a set of tasks, activities to be carried out automatically without requiring that you sit with it, that you still remain conscious. Is it working? Is it not working? You you are just rest assured that this system is doing its job. So when a task is done automatically without any human effort at every time, it could be a concurrent task, it could be an automated task, it could be a one-time task, but that task performs itself automatically. That's the whole idea of automation. The interesting part now is, what if you needed a second assistant who can help you to understand, to analyze, to make certain judgment over certain things? Or maybe you need them to handle certain critical information within your workflow. This is what I mean. Imagine you are working in a or maybe as a customer support, customer support, and you have this automated system that allows your user to send their complaint, to send their complaint. And you know, in the manual system, you have to start reading those documents one after the other, those messages one after the other. But how about if you have another system that is attached to your automation? This system allows for judgment, in that whenever a message comes in, it can read the message and tell you if this message is a request, or is a complaint, or is a suggestion. Can we relate with what I'm saying? Why is there silence? Hello?
We can hear you, sir. Can hear you, sir.
Okay. So that part of your automation that allows for judgment, that helps you to make certain decision, that is the intelligent part. That is the AI part of your automation or of your workflow. So if somebody sent a message, maybe through an email, for instance, and then imagine there are hundreds or maybe thousands of those messages. Of course, you can't be reading them, but a part of your automated automation can help you make judgment to check whether that message that was received was a request or is a complaint or is a recommendation or a compliment. That part of your workflow that has that capacity to do that is the AI part. Is the AI part. That is the intelligent part of your AI, of your workflow. Now let's look at um I think I missed something here. Okay, I think I've explained that. Explained that. Now, for every of your automation, there are three components or ingredients, just as you are seeing on the screen, that your automation consists of. Number one is the trigger. And as the name suggests, the trigger is that thing, that action, that event that kickstarts your workflow. A typical example is an alarm system. Imagine that you are sleeping and you were like, okay, you set your alarm to maybe 12 o'clock. I'm going to wake up and do this report and take a shower or maybe read this book or call this person and so and so. So what will trigger that workflow will be that alarm. So your alarm sounded, the moment you hear the sound of your alarm, you discover you wake up and you begin to do your schedule, what you have proposed to do. So the trigger is that event that starts your automation. And imagine if it's an intelligent automation and you set your alarm and your alarm rang and you didn't wake up, it means your system is not intelligent enough. So, in a nutshell, the event that starts your automation, that thing that happened that sets everything in motion, is what we refer to as the trigger. Is what we refer to as the trigger. Now, the second thing is the condition. Now, but then there is, okay, let me explain the condition before I go there. The condition are simply, just as the name implies, condition, a set of rules that determines which route your workflow take. Because at some point there may be uh okay, let me put it in real life before I explain it in the context of, let's say you set your alarm and you said maybe 7 a.m. this alarm should wake me up. When I wake up, I'll take my bath, do the dishes, maybe make coffee, then pack my files and I'm off to work. That is your workflow. But then the trigger is the alarm. And then by 7, suddenly your alarm began to ring. You woke up, you did everything that you wanted to do. But then rain started falling. Remember, you didn't uh, factor that rain could fall in your automation. Now, that part of your automation that check for some uncertainty is the condition. So you can now say it like this. When it's 7, my alarm should ring. When my alarm ring, I will do this and this and this and this. Now the condition can now be, if peradventure rain started falling, I will take my umbrella. If there was no rain, I wouldn't take my umbrella. That is the condition part of it that help you check different routes that your automation can take in a workflow. Please, does my explanation make sense?
Yes, sir, it makes
Yes,
sense.
sir.
Okay,
Just an observation, sir. This call is going to end in about 13 minutes.
13 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God. Okay, once it ends, you can rejoin again.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
all right. Okay. I'm not aware it's going to end. Okay, all right. So now then, but then the condition part is an optional part. It is not a compulsory part of your workflow, but there are times that you will be building your workflow. You will have to check some part. For instance, maybe you have an uh, automation, a workflow now that receives mail or that replies to email, for instance. And you discover most time when people write mails, some of them may not even remember to put their names. So your automation should capture that part that, okay, maybe if you are trying to reply to mail now, of course, you refer to the person's name. Maybe, uh, let me get somebody's name on the call. Maybe Mr. Steven, for instance, sent a mail to me and I wanted to reply. I will say maybe, dear Steven, hello, Steven. So, you know, what's happening? Please, I'm coming, check what's going on here. I think all is well. All right. So I will try to refer back to his name in my response to that email. But what now happens if he sent the mail, but he didn't reference his name? Now, that is a condition part. So say, okay, if this mail comes in, check before you reply. Check if there is this mail capture the name of the sender. If it captures the name of the sender, go this route. If it doesn't capture the name of the sender, come this route. Like for instance, if it captures the name of the sender, say hello, the name of the sender. But if it doesn't capture the name of the sender, just say maybe hi dear. Did we get that explanation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, correct.
Yes, sir.
So that is the condition part of your workflow. And the action, the action is actually what the system does in response to the trigger. So if your alarm trigger, that event that you do that, you know, is carried out after your trigger is what they call action. And remember, I think I've not said this, the output of one node is the input of the next node. So what one node releases as an output is what the next node will take in as an input. And whatever they do after receiving those information is what we refer to as action. What the system does in response. What the system does in response. So before you even start building any automation, one thing you need to do is to write out every step that are involved or that will be involved in that workflow. So, and this is where I will give us this exercise. This is going to be a very much practical session and we'll be doing it together. But what I want you to do is I need you to pick a uh, a task, something that you want to automate either for yourself, for your business, either for yourself or for your business. I need you to pick a sheet of paper now, write that thing down, then write the step that are involved in that circle, the step that will be carried out for you to achieve that thing. For instance, let's say uh, I gave an example earlier on. Let's say you are trying to, um, I'm just giving an instance. Maybe you are trying to respond to uh, emails, for instance. Write out the steps, how your business run that system manually. Write out those steps. That will be what you will be building on in every of our classes. So the assignment for today is that. That is the assignment. Write out one task you want to automate by yourself. Remember, we are not leaving anybody out. Write out the task. And please, this particular assignment you will be submitted together with your capstone. And this assignment will be your capstone. Will be your capstone. I will need to see the document that you use to write this particular assignment, the tasks you want to automate, and the steps that are involved in them. So when we come together in a class like this, whatever we do, you are going to implement it under your workflow by yourself. So it is like as you are learning, you are implementing. You learn by building, not that you just copy something I just did here, or maybe you just copy workflow online. That is not how it's being done. You must understand the processes that are involved. Okay, so the trigger, the action, and the condition, these are everything you ever need to build your AI workflow. It doesn't matter how big your workflow is. These are the things that constitute your workflow. Those are the things that will constitute your workflow. Okay, so now, uh, manual versus automated. I think I've explained this one. I think I've explained this one. Yeah. What is automation? Okay. 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 Let's talk about this one. We talked about automation initially, but now we are talking about AI automation. Now, AI automation is like, it's not like your regular uh, automation. In this particular AI automation, now don't get it twisted. There is automation, the one that is rigid. That one that is rigid, the activities doesn't involve reasoning, doesn't involve any special decision making. You just like, an example is, uh, you wake up in the morning, you take your bath, you brush your teeth, you eat, and you go out. It doesn't require you to reason anything. You wake up in the morning, you take your shower, you brush your teeth, maybe you make dishes if you are the type that make dishes, you eat, and you leave your house. That is a rigid workflow, a rigid automation. There is no decision in between. There is nothing that triggers any redirection in it. But the workflow or automation where there will be a need for, uh, what is it called now? For decision, for judgment, for redirecting, or to devise another route that the workflow should take if something doesn't go as particular direction that you've already set for it. That kind of automation where the AI plays a prominent role, that is what we refer to as AI automation. And I bring it down to a simple market woman level here. Imagine in a restaurant. Now, the kitchen itself, that's the workflow automation. People comes in, maybe look at the menu, beckon to the uh, waiter. Waiter takes your uh, order to the kitchen or to the chef. The chef prepares, and then the waiter brings your order. That is your workflow. But now, there is a part of it that makes judgment, which is the AI model. I believe we are conversant with that now. We've touched on that. The chef now, the head chef, is the AI model. I feel something is wrong. Oh, please. Okay. So imagine if an unusual guest comes into that restaurant, you discover the way they are doing things there will change. The mode of operation will change. Immediately, the head cook will say, okay, we have so so and so and so in the uh, in the restaurant, and we need to prepare this, which is not the usual meal. So that part of your workflow that allow for those decisions is the model. And then the restaurant itself is your n8n, which is the software that allows you to do all of these things. So where the traditional automation struggles with all the workflows,